Welcome everybody. Let's give it up for Rise, Dance, Resist. You know what Emma Goldman said? If you're not dancing, I'm not coming to your revolution. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Patty Hine. I'm here with Sandra Cart from 350 Eugene. Thank you so much for coming today. If you can hear my voice, repeat after me. It's warming.
It's warming.
It's us.
It's us.
We're sure.
We're sure.
It's bad.
It's bad.
We can fix it.
We can fix it.
Let's say it again, even louder. Very good. It's warming.
It's warming.
It's us.
It's us.
We're sure.
We're sure.
It's bad.
It's bad.
We can fix it. Yeah.
Thanks for coming, everyone. So we are here in solidarity today with 826 actions around the world, 91 countries, every state of the union, including Puerto Rico, and then over 80 million hits on hashtag Rise for Climate. But this is really a local event, so we are taking it to the streets today, literally, to get serious with local leaders about our demand to effectively address climate change. And although this is a global event, we are thinking very locally. So we will be having this rally right now. And then we're going to have a set of teach-ins to talk to you about what's happening at local level, state level, what is up with natural, fracked gas, and then our Pledge of Resistance. We're going to have a march down to the Ferry Street Bridge, not very long, and then we are going to make some noise. Okay, this is in advance of the Global Climate Action Summit in San Francisco. Governor Jerry Brown of California has invited all sub-national leaders. Sub-national, that would be our governors, our mayors, our councilors, our commissioners, business leaders, other local leaders, to live up to their commitment to meet the Paris Climate Agreement. So we are here today showing up to demand real, not greenwashed, not postponed, clean energy solutions, and an end to the era of fossil fuels. So if you agree, shout, "The people are rising."
The people are rising.
One more time, "The people are rising."
The people are rising.
Okay. So before we go any further and introduce our guest speakers, we want to recognize the presence of a number of our climate leaders, our climate heroes from our local area. I understand that our mayor is here. Mayor Lucy Venus, thank you so much for coming. I think right next to her is Professor Mary Wood from... Definitely a guiding light and a mentor of our young climate activists and showing them the way, making a huge difference in our world. Any council members here today with us? A budding council member. Yeah, future one. I know, how about the Sustainability Commission? Any Sustainability Commission members?
Zach Mulholland right here.
Zach is here, yay. This is over there. Anybody else that we would like to recognize today? Thank you so much for coming.
So our movement is, oh, yes, we do have a valve turner here, someone just mentioned. Leonard Higgins, where are you, man? Here he is. Leonard is live streaming today, y'all. We want to just recognize how special it is that you all came out today and how you really have been ongoing support for us. A lot of you have been supporting us financially for a long time. We don't need a lot of money, but we do need a little, and some of you are really showing up with that. Also, the good local groups, the grassroots is what gets the goods. Please continue to extravagantly support all of these wonderful local social and climate justice groups. Give them a hand. They're tabling for you today. Want to give a special shout out to Indivisible Eugene. Jerry Samaniego, where are you? He is registering voters for the midterms. not only do we have a climate emergency, we have a democracy emergency. And we have got to turn out for the midterms, people, and it's got to be a big blue wave. So let's make sure that happens. Thanks.
Hello, everybody. My name is Shauna Bluestar Newcomb, and I'm proud to be an Indigenous woman. I'm from the Shawnee Lenape Azteca traditions, or nations. And I would like to begin by taking a moment to acknowledge the original nations and peoples of this land and territory, whose land we are now on at this time, the Kalapuya Nation, and just take a moment to honor that and the wisdom that our Indigenous nations and ancestors have carried from time immemorial. I feel very grateful to my ancestors and all of the wisdom and knowledge that they have shared over time, and I feel like there's a lot that we can all gain from that wisdom that I want to share with you today. But I want to thank each and every one of you as well for being here. I feel that today is a very good day because all around the world people are waking up, coming together and rising for our precious planet and our future. So thank you so much for being a part of this. It's very good to see that humanity is coming back to its senses, and we are seeing many good changes. But we are in the time of great changes, and it can feel really confusing and unsettling, like the world is turned upside down at times. But as we see the awful truth, we're also presented with an awesome opportunity. The shadows are coming to the light to be healed. So this is a time of taking great personal responsibility for the ways we are living. A time to look at how we are treating one another and remembering that we only have one Mother Earth. This is a time to go deeper into our hearts, to find our deepest compassion for ourselves and each other, and to address the issues today that we speak about: climate change, justice, and jobs. It's time for a great paradigm shift. They say we cannot solve the problems of the world with the same thinking that created them. So it's time for a very big change in our mindset and how we are approaching things. Our Indigenous peoples and ancestors have carried a very special wisdom and knowledge that can benefit all of us today. There's a saying that our Indigenous communities speak to: all our relations. We hold a deep reverence and respect for all of life because we know that we are all interconnected. We understand that we all have the same water, we all share the same air. We have so much to gain to protect our Mother Earth because she sustains us and nurtures us and feeds us. How would our lives in our world be different, I often wonder, if we followed the sacred instructions of our Indigenous peoples to honor and to love the land, to live in harmony and balance with our Mother Earth, to consider the well-being of all peoples, to give thanks each day, and to know that we each have a sacred purpose in this life, and to honor our path. Each of you has a very special part to play in this, and so I thank you again for being here, for making a difference just by being here today. And thank you so much for coming out, and I really, really appreciate that you are all change makers in your own way. I feel that it's time that we are the ones that we've been waiting for. And we're all in this together. So all our relations, I thank you so much. Wanishi.
Hello. My name is Courtney Flathers. I am the field representative for Senator Merkley based here in Eugene. The senator sends his regrets that he could not be here today, but I'm honored to represent him and to share a message. Thank you all for being here today to take a stand against climate change. Change isn't always bad, but as you know, the change our planet is undergoing couldn't be worse. We've all seen firsthand the devastating effects that climate chaos is having on our planet. In Oregon, we've had longer and more destructive fire seasons. Drought has hurt our farmers and ranchers. Severe winters have crippled our local economies. We continue to break heat records around the state. Ocean acidification is threatening our shellfish and crabbing industries. These are canaries in the coal mine, telling us that it is imperative to address climate chaos head-on and right now. The scientists have already spoken. We know the impacts that we are facing and when we can expect to face them. If an asteroid was hurtling its way through space towards our planet, we would utilize every tool at our disposal to stop it. Our commitment to fighting climate chaos should be no less. There is no question that there will be very real challenges in this transition, but we must rise to those challenges. Our nation and our planet are at stake. For these reasons, I introduced the 100 by 50 Act, a bill that lays out a mission of achieving a transition to 100% clean and renewable energy by 2050, while also ensuring a just transition for workers and low-income and disadvantaged communities. Successfully meeting this challenge requires widespread citizen engagement. It's not just a question of getting federal policy right. We need to mobilize throughout our communities. Each of us can play a role by advocating for 100 by 50 in our communities and organizations, whether it's our university campus, our businesses, our town, or our state. We all need to rise up in this fight with our voices, with our votes, and with our wallets, and we should use every tool in the toolbox. That's why yesterday I introduced the Retirement Investments for a Sustainable Economy, or RISE Act. This legislation would give federal workers more voice to align their retirement investments through the Thrift Savings Plan with climate action and into a fund that is free from fossil fuels. Each and every one of us must take action to curb climate chaos. Gathering to learn and work together is an important step in that direction, so thanks to each and every one of you for showing up today. It's been said that we're the first generation to experience the catastrophic impacts of climate change and the last generation that can do something about it. I'm inspired to work with others who care deeply about this issue and applaud all of you for coming out today and making our future a priority. As your federal partner, I will work tirelessly to fight against climate chaos. United States Senator Jeff Merkley. Thank you all.
All right. My name's Serena. I'm a senior at South Eugene High School this year, and I am one of the leaders of South's Climate Activism Club, Earth Guardians 350. Currently, 70 million tons of carbon enter the atmosphere every day. The Earth's ice masses are melting. Greenland is literally breaking up. The West Antarctic glaciers are said to be past the point of no return. We are nearing the 6th planetary extinction, with 1 in 6 species threatened with extinction. U.S. military leaders identify climate as an immediate military threat. Yet we are continuing with business as usual. And if we continue with business as usual, there will be a projected 9 to 11 degrees Fahrenheit of warming over most of the inland U.S. by 2090. Gus Speth, former dean of the Yale School of Forestry, says that if we keep doing exactly what we are doing today, the world in the latter part of the century won't be fit to live in. So for me and many other young people, this is incredibly upsetting and unnerving, because for us, a good majority of our lives will be spent in the latter half of the century. So seeing the inaction on the part of adults and people in power is frightening. However, we are not just sitting back and waiting for the day when scientists declare that the world is now uninhabitable. We are fighting back, so that our children will have the chance to experience smoke-free air, clean water, and not being constantly in fear of the next climate-related natural disaster. Woo! But in order to secure that future, we need every person's help. Each and every one of us needs to join in and do our part in stopping the current trajectory we are on. We need comprehensive climate legislation passed and shifts in the way we utilize the resources of the planet, and we need it now. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rabbi Ruchi Sophia Motzkin-Rubenstein. So, I want to start by acknowledging some fear and some pain. For some of us here, this is really scary. Not just because of all the catastrophic possibilities, but because what is demanded of us is a complete rethinking of what we are entitled to, how we are entitled to use the world around us and relate to the people around us. And for others, this is so painful because we never knew. We always knew that we were not so entitled, and the rest of the world is waking up too slowly. And I think it's a very painful truth about the environmental movement that so many of us were talking about saving the polar bears while totally blind to the fact of black men being gunned down in the streets, of indigenous people being pushed off their lands, and this movement cannot succeed unless it is an intersectional movement. So we are waking up, thank God, or wherever you direct your gratitude. But this isn't easy, and it was never going to be easy. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like it's too hard, you'd rather go home, you'd rather pull the covers over your head, then you're probably in very good company. But you're not doing that. You're here. You're here because there are too many of us who don't have the option of denial, and really none of us in 50 years have the option of denial. Too many of people already thrust off of their land, too many people and places already treated like sacrifice zones. The emergency isn't in the future, it's already here, and we are awake, so it is time for us. So, those leaders, those business people meeting next week, very well-meaning, largely want to protect their investments, but who is going to hold them accountable for the well-being of the planet and for all of us? Who's going to hold them accountable? I hope so. So each of us has a role to play, and we can't wait to be invited politely. As one of my great teachers, Joanna Macy, reminds us, some of us will need to be disruptors. Some of us have already been disruptors, putting our bodies in front of pipeline routes and coal trains, protesting in the halls of power where decisions get made to sacrifice land and people. Some of us need to be the visionaries of technologies, planting community gardens, putting up solar panels that will move us away from our addiction to fossil fuels. And some of us need to be working on that culture shift, educating, creating new stories, helping each other move from a mentality of scarcity and catastrophe, a story that says the earth is free for whomever grabs fastest, to an understanding of the interdependence of all of us, human and non-human. And all of these roles are necessary. All of them are vital. There's going to be at the teach-ins very specific tips about how you can take on any of these roles. And let's just get this out there, no one can do them all. The task is too great for any one of us, and none of us can do individually enough. But fortunately, we have some things going for us. We have the interests of all of humanity with us. We have the interests of all of creation with us. We have the interests of all future generations with us. We have our bodies and our voices, and we have each other. And we have some very ancient wisdom. As one of our great Jewish teachers, Rabbi Tarfon, taught 2,000 years ago, the day is short and the task is long, but it is not your job to finish the work, but neither are you off the hook from doing your part. And I want to say one more thing, and I thank the children here for reminding us of this. This task does not demand that we be miserable. Despair is not a strategy, and joy is an act of spiritual resistance. This task demands that we take our passions, we take our greatest gifts, and we channel them towards the healing of our earth, our communities, and ourselves. It demands that we build wider networks, larger communities. Nothing about that should be miserable. That should all be the greatest possible joy.
Down just a bit. Yes, I think I understand. Are you saying that using fossil fuels is causing climate change? And that fossil fuels include coal, oil, gasoline, and methane gas? Yes, climate warming is caused by the greenhouse gases that fossil fuels emit. Too much greenhouse gas in the atmosphere is like a big pile of blankets on a hot night. Oh, yes, something about that Pacific Connector pipeline and the Jordan Cove terminal in southern Oregon. Yes, it would be the largest greenhouse gas producer in the entire state of Oregon.
Would you speak up a little? My hearing's not as good as my hair. Eugene, electricity is much cleaner than natural gas. Gas use produces 242,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide, and electricity produces only 30,000?
We have 3 projects that are going on, and we would love to see any and all of you involved in these projects. Again, we are resisting the Pacific Connector Pipeline and the Jordan Cove project, which you know is in southern Oregon. I have information about these if you'd like to see me afterwards for a little bit more information about that. Secondly, we are raising public awareness about what a clean energy future looks like for Eugene, specifically transitioning to electric vehicles and electricity in our homes. And thirdly, we are supporting a fracking moratorium that will be proposed in Salem in 2019 by Representative Julie Fahey. Yay, Julie. So what can you do? I think you can tell that we are a fun group that doesn't fool around. So join us every 4th Tuesday of the month. We meet from 6:30 to 8:30 at the Toaster Church, the First United Methodist Church. And as importantly today, please sign the climate action petition that's at the 350 table at the bottom of the garden if you haven't already. Find your ward and sign up.
Can I interject one quick
Yes.
comment? A lot of our state legislators have not decided if they're pro or con the pipelines. We all need to contact them
Yes.
and tell them.
Yes.
Okay, our first question of importance here is, what does the term 350 mean? Answer A, 9 degrees from a full circle. Best temperature to bake brownies. Or C, the allowable parts per millionth of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere.
Oh God, I love brownies. I want to go with B, but maybe not. Okay, C.
C is absolutely right. 350 is the allowable parts per millionth of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Scientists have determined as a safe and comfortable level for our species to live. 285 parts per million with a CO2 level at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, and from the burning of fossil fuels, we are now at 410 and rising. From clean renewable energy to smart thermostats to methane digesters to plant-rich diets to educating girls in lower-income countries on land use practices, Drawdown is a message based on science that a growing number of Earth's inhabitants are understanding and doing something proactively about global warming. Paul Hawken has written a book called Drawdown that lists 100 ways to reduce carbon naturally. Okay, question 3. What is the CRO? First answer, a large blackbird that goes caw, caw, caw. Okay. An acronym for Cattle Rustlers of Oregon? Or C, the City of Eugene Climate Recovery Ordinance?
I still want to consult the apron.
Oh, let's see here. Let's try that one over there.
So what does this say?
Miss Peacock in the kitchen.
Another game.
Where'd you get that apron? The answer is C. The CRO is the City of Eugene Climate Recovery Ordinance. This was first written and adopted in 2014. It's updated in 2016 and being rolled out to the community this September. The CRO is an ordinance that will require the City of Eugene to reduce its fossil fuel emissions. By 2020, city-owned facilities and city operations will be carbon neutral, and by 2030, a community-wide fossil fuel reduction of 50% below 1990 levels will be the goal.
So are you thinking that you're about ready to march? Have you had a good time? Were you inspired? Did you learn something?
We will do all we can. That's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful job. We're gonna make some noise together. I just want to let you all know that I believe in you all. And I think and so I want you all to do a favor for me. And believe in yourself. Use that belief in yourself to make a noise, to make a noise that is so loud and it increases your Renewables!